from NXP. You've got the Janna Tornado, and you have the Singed Flip. And that's realistically the only CC you have in this composition. I have a feeling that unless you're really far ahead or you're executing on these team fights perfectly, you're spacing correctly, I have a feeling that you're going to struggle to get any significant advantage because you're going into Monkey, Wukong, who's got the knock-up. You're going into the Silence from the Garen, the Shockwave from the Orianna, the Braum knock-up, the Braum stun. I'm a little concerned when it comes to full-on teamfight situations. However, something that I think NextPlay could do, something that I think could work for them, is they could go for a kind of split push style composition, which is, you have the Singed pushing one lane, you have Corki pushing the other, and the Janna, Misfortune, and Graves just dealing with mid. That's all. I think he's just dead.
You said it earlier, Scandal, like early game Braum is so strong because of that stun potential, because of that frostbite, and then it just hits the stun, he can't move away, even though he did flash. It's a flash and a frag, by the way, so some extra gold coming their way already, and now they're just going to go for the red buff invade, and they're going to snatch it away. No counter invade for the side of NextPlay, so they're just already running with the lead, and it's just been 30 seconds. Hell yeah.
That's, again, yeah, like you said, level 1 Braum is super strong. They're even going, again, for a red to red here. So this is basically, I like this a lot from Omega. They're not going to, he's not going to just return to his blue star jungle. What they're doing is they're looking to guarantee a 3 buff start for this Wukong in the jungle. Interestingly, the Braum is not going towards the Jhin. They've lane swapped the Jhin to the top side of the map, but they're leaving Garen in the 2v1 on the bottom side. They're actually rotating the Braum around the jungle with the Wukong. The problem is that the experience share is not going to be particularly strong for the Braum in this scenario, so he's going to fall behind in experience relatively quickly. So we need to get him into a lane. But he's basically a roaming death squad.
Whoa. Oh my god, this rotation. I think the Ignite will still get the frag. Oh, it does, barely but surely, right in front of the Honey Fruit. That's a feels bad, man. And 2-0 already. The gold lead is up already to a 1.3 to 1.4k. So they already got himself in a really, really good spot. And like this Monkey Braum combo, like they're roaming around the map in so many big ways. Like Monkey strong, Monkey real strong.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously what I think we saw. I think we just saw Bigatron try to do this with the Graves Braum combo, where they would just rotate the Braum around the map with the Wukong. They'd really just look to abuse the strong level 1 and the strong passive of the Braum in the early game and try and get as many roaming kills as physically possible without Braum ever having to go to lane. That is why they didn't worry too much about the Jhin. They were just like, well, do you know what? Braum's not actually looking to lane the Jhin. Braum is looking to spend the early game rotating with the Wukong and trying getting as many kills as possible. Garen has to be a little careful here. He's trying to clear the wave, but it is a complete fiesta run for the first dragon in the game. Looks like Garen is going to be able to clear that wave out. I think Corki has rotated towards the top side of the map here, and this could be a little scary.
It'll be a little bit scary. Yeah, they're going to make it out. Nice CC coming up on the Jhin anyways, and because he has that Braum, we know that Jhin can just remain on the backline and be pretty healthy overall. Nothing too insane going to be happening, but like good trade-off plates on both side lanes. I do have to say, like 2 plates were dropped on top of this. Oh, there you go. That's going to be the curtain call coming out from the Jhin. Can he hit it? Nice look coming out. If he can hit it, oh my god, the flash still comes out, even though it's not going to hit. But that's still forcing out a flash for an ultimate, which is going to make it a somewhat even trade-off. But now they're still forcing a wave, despite being low. They are here aiming to push this tower and pick up the first tower of the game, which I think they should be able to do successfully. But they're not going to go anymore. They saw Syndra still there, and they saw also this Corki being really healthy. But like, we're not going to take the risk. We've got 2 plates. We're still heavily ahead in gold.
Yeah, Corki's wave clears too strong with just a single wave to just push up onto that tower. It still had a significant amount of HP left available. And they noticed that the Graves proc the Vision Cone. That roaming death squad of the Braum and the Wukong in the early game worked out incredibly well, and they've already put Graves behind. Honestly, one of the only advantages of Graves as a jungler is that he farms very quickly. So Graves clears camps very quickly. There is literally no other advantage to Graves in this game other than the fact that he farms relatively quickly. He's a good early duelist for sure, but for the most part, people pick Graves because he clears camps quickly. He's very good at just rotating and clearing his jungle, getting a huge amount of gold purely from jungle creeps. You're actually kind of diminishing what Graves is good at. Now, there's going to be a dragon fight, as we said. I favor Omega in this scenario. I think they have the stronger level 5 team fight. It's just about how it gets executed, obviously.
clean 3-man knockup from the Janna, but now they're getting split away. They can't really take that fight. NXP currently have the advantage, and they're going to try and push on forward. If you can get also the push back onto the siege, that would be great, but Corki going a little bit too deep, and he's going to instantly regret that one. Flashing out, does get smited down by the Garen regardless, but that's okay. Ultimate from the Brawl. The follow-up is not too possible, though, unfortunately, as they did suffer some pretty big casualties. Sure, I gotta say, though, Omega Esports did do kind of a little bit of throw at the start of that fight, but they killed properly and were able to survive it. But here we go. They're ready to go for the re-engage, and they are pretty low on their side. They're not pretty ready for that one. Good engage from the Monkey. You're going to get so much damage. The smite comes up through, will be secured by this Wukong, and now it's just fishing time, picking up kill after kill. But unfortunately, they're getting pretty low themselves. Well, the Small Fortune is still remaining pretty healthy. They lose the Janna. Now it's the 1v3. Can she survive? No. And that is going to be set and done. 8-1. I don't think NXP should have done that, Drake, after that fight. They should have just went back to base. No one was ready. They forced it, and unfortunately, they lost.
Oh my God, Max. Like, they got an advantage. They forced the split very early on from the Omega squad, but then they just misfortune automated the Drake. I guess they were trying to burst it, but look how impactful that misfortune ultimate would have been if they just saved it for now. like they could have potentially won that team fight, like massively so, if they just saved the misfortune ultimate for what it's supposed to be for. It's not supposed to burst Drakes. I mean, I get it. Look, I do get it. I'm getting angry, but I'm guessing they were just like, okay, we need to use this misfortune ultimate to burst the Drake. We don't want to take the team fight. We think that, we forced the Wukong low enough, but they just got baited by the honey fruit still being available in the bot side. Wukong healed up a little bit, was able to get over the wall. Honestly, that was a win. They split the Wukong off immediately. They forced him out of his own jungle. He was like negligible HP. They could have just backed and said, okay, delaying the game is fine for us because we have a Corki. We have a Graves. We don't need to just run it down for Drake. Delaying this first Drake is more than enough. But alas, it was not the case. They were not able to make it happen, and they were just trying to burst the Drake in a greedy way without really respecting the re-engage potential from Omega, and unfortunately paid the price for it. And again, that fight would have been different if the misfortune had just saved the ultimate for the team fight. If she had just saved it for a situation where she was able to sort of throw it over the river when they were all there on low HP, that could have been a very easy early quadra kill potentially for our misfortune on Uzi. But it is what it is. It happened, and now they've got to try and recover from it. But they are 5,000 gold down now. That is a big recovery that needs to happen. And again, Omega in the driving seat.
Guys, please call 911. Scoundrel's mad, and I'm scared over here. But I do fully agree there was a little bit of a throw on both sides. It did do kind of a mistake, but at the end, it was still going the way of Omega Esports, and they will gladly take that fight and take the Drake at that. Also, first item now going to be purchased for the Jin, so he's going to put himself in a pretty strong position compared to the Misfortune that also got a first item, so they're going to be pretty much in an even standoff in terms of itemization. The gold lead already, we're looking at 7,000 gold very soon lead already in favor of Omega Esports, and like in 7.5 minutes, that is still a really significant gold advantage. Now in the bottom lane, we're already going to have a little bit of a push, but like I gotta say, Brawl and Wukong have been bringing so much to the table in their own rotations, also because of the golden staff of the Wukong. It allows to proc that stun of the frostbite of the Brawl a lot quicker, so it does make sense. They synergize really well to go for those early game ganks. As now Drake is 1 minute away again from spawning. Are we going to have another cluster of absolute mayhem happening in that pit? I guess so. I think that both teams don't really want to give that one up, but we're seeing next play once again falling behind at a point where I'm starting to get a little bit skeptical, and this is a draft that you need to be ahead to make it work properly, so they're falling behind. I'm scared for them, really, once again.
Yeah, I think that this is something that obviously Omega are going to force. They have a strong item spikes. Dave has been highlighting the items that have been picked up by the members. Oriana is on Leandri's Seraphs, which is a really big spike. We have trying to look with the AD carry. What is the gym pick up? The Infinity Edge Ghostblade, I think, that he's got as well, which is a pretty significant spike for him. They're actually going to back and just go and pick up as much as they can before this next Dragon fight. They are confident that they could head back towards that pit and be in a strong position to fight. And I think it's easy for them. I think this is again a strong position to be in. I would almost be tempted to drop the Rift Herald if you haven't already for the Wukong. Either drop it mid or drop it bot. to provide a distraction, because that will set up nicely for the start. You can see they're pushing the wave. I think Wukong's, he's just going to drop it mid. They're going to try and force this mid lane tower, which would at least set up a good space for the next dragon. And there's a flip in from, it's the clone.
Yeah, it was the clone. I was like, wait a minute, that's a good play. It's like, no, it's the clone. I got bamboozled too, and that is okay. But now, because of that push, they're not fully ready to go for the fight, and they're just going to also keep the Garen on the front line with the Orianna to bring some CC to the table if they want to make sure they're not going to go for it. And they're going straight back into the top side of the lane because they know they just can't contest that Drake, and they don't want to give it a shot. They know they're way too far behind, so no big throws on next play. But what are they going to try and do here? They're going into the jungle. During that time, JLC smart. He's going pretty deep on that one, but unfortunately, they shall not find any frags by doing that rotation. But NXP, I don't know what the plan was with that rotation. I'm a little bit skeptical here.
Yeah, I think they just got caught out a little bit. I think they were looking to essentially go towards top, try and take the top lane turret for free, but there was a very, very quick and decisive move from Omega to move into the mid lane, knowing they've split the composition up of next play, and they take the mid lane tier 2. Another chunk of gold in their back pocket as the Baron spawns. We are 10,000 gold in the lead for Omega. They really seem to have cracked the code to deal with Omega. Omega just not drafting strong early game team fight compositions, getting caught out around the dragon. It wasn't even that far apart. I mean, next play initially had the advantage when it came to that first dragon, but as I said, there was a little bit of a misplay around the use of some of the ultimates when they went for the re-engage. And now that the Baron is on the table with a 10k gold lead, you've got to be aware that it is going to be Omega looking to either force that and pressure out the Baron as the next objective, because that will allow them to crack the base and potentially even take this game.
Yeah, we were talking about this during the break. We were mentioning, like, these games so far have been whichever team wins the first Drake fight, like, they steamroll the entire game. And it's been really something that's been happening on a really regular basis. So I think that here you got to try and find a strategy to get back into the game. And I think that unfortunately 10,000 gold has been just so consistently coming the way as a gold lead for Omega Esports. And 10,000 gold lead is not something you can easily come back from. So, like, it's starting to get to the point where I want to tail to the side of Omega. Just go in, like, settings, surrender button, click on it, and you might be good to go. But at the end, NXP gonna get pushed up, and they can't do much. They're getting split away from each other once more. As Wukong is just going to be shoving that wave under tower a little bit, try and create a little bit of point of pressure. And during that time, they're seeing that they're not ready to fight. They might just go for Baron to somewhat or force the fight coming their way. And if they don't force the fight, they're going to have a free Baron. Easy.
I think, realistically, Baron is always a little scary against the likes of a Corki with package or, and a Misfortune as well. But they get it so quickly with the Leandries, the fight breaking out now as well on the front line, and not looking good for next play in this game right now.
That was 5v2 initially versus Singed and the Brawl, and they're just like, we just can't do any damage. Like, Brawl is just frontlining too damn good. Orianna does pop the shockwave, I do believe. Unfortunately, will not be able to catch off guard this Corki. So a little bit of a waste of that utility, and that CC will not be connecting, but that's okay. They're so far ahead, it doesn't even really matter all that much. Just trying to look for it, and the push in top lane, the wave is coming on through. They're trying to starve them away from the tower. Unfortunately, Corki, a little bit too far. Yeah, you have to jump away from that one. You scared me quite a bit. And even the mid lane turret is going to get cracked open potentially with the next wave coming on through very, very soon. But like the map control, the map awareness, and also how they control these lanes respectively is just so strong from Omega Esports, and next play just can't find a strong response here. Although, going to get shot back. Unfortunate bad spot. He's going to be going for the ultimate too. Unfortunately, the CC gets right before dying. It's potentially not going to be enough. Nice though curtain call from this Jhin. Just going to get some extra damage, but it's still at the end of the day. They lose the mid tower. They're going to get the natural push power in mid every time. And here, Scandal, this is looking like another easy win for the side of Omega.
Yeah, and with Infernal Drake spawning relatively soon as well, it's another big fight that unfortunately next play can't avoid. And if they do, they are just giving up more power to the team that is already in the driving seat. I was going to mention I love the Garen's build, by the way. He's gone for the essentially Sunfire into Adaptive Helm. Adaptive Helm is super strong versus the next play composition because Corki deals 80% magic damage, and most of that comes from his basic attacks. Adaptive Helm is effective against Corki's basic attacks because they are 80% magic damage, and it is doubly effective against Singed because the majority of his damage comes through a consistent poison. So you're essentially getting 15% damage reduction at maximum versus both Singed and Corki, making you an extremely beefy frontliner on this Garen. Intelligent itemization by JLC in the top lane means that he's incredibly difficult to burst through, and that's why you're seeing him sit there at the front while the team takes these objectives, is what he did around the Baron pit as well, because he knows he's so hard to kill with this item already picked up for him. So again, JLC with some sort of big brain tank plays here, which is allowing his team to have a much more solid front line. You can see Chuli just out of position. We have the engage.
But there's even nothing to save. It's just like great engage overall. They're going to have to Garen go pretty deep into that one, but he's just so beefy and allowed to tank it. And indeed, the build is looking so strong for him. He's going to be tanking that turret like it's nothing. He feels like an Alistar at this point, and now they crack open the base early in the mid lane. This Nexus is bare, and unfortunately for them, I think this is going to be another easy win coming on through for Omega Esports. The wave is there to back them up. The damage coming on through. Cork is going to go pretty deep over that one, maybe try and get the back line, but unfortunately gets absolutely bursted to smithereens, and indeed it is going to be the win, 3-1 in favor of Omega Esports. And next play, they just can't do anything. 3-1. One more game, and we will be having our Wild Rift Asia Brawl champions in the form of Omega Esports. But one game is still required. And next play, we know when they're not going to give it up, baby. They're not going to give it up.
They're not giving it up, of course. I mean, unfortunately, you're seeing the other side of the coin when it comes to the Singed. If you do not get ahead, if you do not get any kind of advantage, you just become kind of useless.